Hey, how's it going, guys? Hope everybody's doing well. We're here with David from Pipe Network. Super excited. These guys are absolutely crushing it in the deep-in space, and very excited to have them on board. So why don't we start off with some quick intros? I'll kick it off with myself. I'm Nero, Crypto Ape on Twitter. I'm the CEO and founder of MCA, Multichain Advisors. We're a growth strategy management consulting firm. And I'm also a host of a weekly podcast called the Everything Crypto Show. David, take it away.
Hi, I'm David Rodas. I'm founder and CEO of Permissionless Labs, a contributor to Pipe Network. We're building a content delivery network to compete against traditional Web 2 stacks like Akamai, CloudFront, Cloudflare, those guys. Basically, secret sauce is like leveraging blockchain coordination and getting these hyperlocal nodes that reduce the latency down past what traditional CDNs can compete with.
This is one of the few companies that's solving problems using the blockchain, not creating new problems. But why don't we jump right into it? So Pipe Network, I guess a fun question. How did you guys come up with the name?
Yeah, that's a great story. I think just brainstorming with like the great JR and Kyle over at Multicoin, and we went through I think like 250 names or something, and something like we all loved Mario. It's kind of one of the original things, and connecting like pipes and Mario and bandwidth kind of magically aligned, and you probably see a lot of cool memes coming up very soon.
I did. I've seen the GM post with Mario in it, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, JR is like amazing over there with the marketing narrative piece. I think we had some very bizarre names before that were almost unpronounceable for Americans.
Pipe is nice and easy. So let's talk about CDNs. Can you explain to the audience what CDNs are, like CDNs for dummies, on like a non-super technical term?
Yeah, absolutely. So every day, 3 to 4 billion people around the world use a CDN. Most major websites use one. If you've got more than a couple thousand users, you almost have to have one to support the load and also getting data around the world to the users quick enough. So for example, if you're like hosting in AWS, it's about 350 miles away from your user. And if you go step down and you use a CDN like Akamai or Cloudflare, they're about 150 miles from the user. So there's still quite a bit of latency there. You'll see between like 50 and 100 milliseconds. And with these hyperlocal nodes, we can incentivize node runners in any geographic area, so we can get it down into the neighborhood level. And basically, we're 50 to 20 miles. That puts us in like somewhere between like 9 and 5 milliseconds of latency. You know, my North Star is 3 milliseconds of latency, so we still have a lot of work to do.
That's a huge progress, though, nonetheless. Congrats on that.
Yeah, we're lucky. I think, looking at like people like Alex Karp and things we look up to, and he says if your product's 5, 10, 20x better than the competition, you don't even need a sales force. And it's really amazing the inbound we're getting. The large companies and the Web3 companies together are just really giving us a lot of great feedback, and definitely a few bugs here and there, but it's great to already be solving like real world use case.
No, that makes sense. So let's talk multi-chain. I know Pipe Network is very Solana focused. Do you guys have any plans for multi-chain expansions, or are you guys doing anything multi-chain?
Absolutely, yeah. So we're essentially chain agnostic in a way. We're using Solana initially for payments and a little bit of verification. I just happened to randomly meet Anatoly, and we're talking about error correction algorithms and stuff. And it turns out he was like building an L1, so we really connected over engineering. But yeah, right now we're doing some things with like Aptos, and I think they're going to dip into some media platform, and we're going to provide the bandwidth and probably some media conditioning services for them. And the other day, just doing some like technical nerd talk on Twitter, and some guy introduced me to the CTO of Sui, and they just launched a storage product. So we're looking to connect Pipe to that storage product and make the data super fast for the users.
Nice. Potentially connecting Pipe and Walrus.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's awesome. When you guys were making this decision to potentially partner with Aptos, What was some of the things that came to mind when assessing that decision? What's your guys' general take on like the Aptos ecosystem at the moment?
Yeah, I think, um, I'm no Web3 expert, but feels like it's some kind of sleeper, as you guys would say. Like the tech is super robust. Avery and the team is like very hardcore engineers, just like us. So we can sit around and look at graphs and diagnose issues very quickly. It's been great to work with them because it's just like I'm talking to people back in Amazon, basically, and uh, you know the their consensus algorithm's really amazing. The chain's super fast. Unlike Sui, it is more open and permissionless. Where Sui, you've got to get voted in.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So I know the testnet went live recently. I believe it was Pipe Quest 1, Season 1. Could you share some more details on the testnet? Any like stats, anything exciting that you guys took away from the progress so far?
Yeah, it's been wild. Definitely had a bunch of bugs in the beginning. We had uh, underestimated the number of people trying to get in there and exploit the system basically. So essentially, they were just slowing down the real nodes from being able to register. Today, I think we've got about 230,000 nodes been stood up. It's tremendous. There's a lot of video data being streamed through the system now. Uh, Before we were streaming like a couple of 100 terabytes of Solana snapshot data. Um, I'd say we're doing a couple of petabytes a day right now, so it's really amazing. If you go to the most bargain basement CDN provider, you know, a petabyte's still very expensive, and we're pushing a couple of those per day.
That's awesome. That's huge progress so far. What would you say is the hypothetical max capacity for nodes at the moment?
That's a great question. I think based on some simulations we've done, we'll need to make a few adjustments around 10 million nodes, but it's essentially sharding out the database a little bit. We've ran that simulation with full provision of bandwidth, and there was no issues. The routing layer looks like it can handle probably a billion nodes or something. So it's much more light touch, just a small like haversign and some geospatial algorithms in the background. But the core node system is all pretty much set up to scale at like AWS level. Or
Nice. That's huge. What were some of the funniest exploits that people were trying to get through the testnet?
it's everything you can think of, from like just calling the APIs in the most bizarre ways, scanning for releases that haven't been published yet, trying to self-service data. It's very fascinating. So far, they haven't pulled anything off that we weren't prepared for, and fortunately, working at Amazon, like it was a horrible environment of like people trying to scam the system all the time. Like from especially on the retail side, they would literally buy out like all the infant formula. They had to use crazy sophisticated machine learning to reduce the fraud there. So we're very used to fighting fraud.
No, that makes sense. So let's step back to your previous company at Elements. You're one of the few folks who's been able to exit successfully. That we have on stage from Silicon Valley. Why don't you share some insights, some funny stories maybe from then?
Yeah, so we exited a company, Elemental, in 2015 to AWS. So, media transcoder, media conditioning service. So, basically, if you're watching any video almost off of YouTube, it's very probable that will be us. Any major sports around the world, major broadcasters. Around that time, it was kind of funny. We had a customer, everyone knows Facebook, and they're using our video for, processing their video on their platform. And they made an introduction, and they're like, hey, you should talk to these guys. They have like the craziest engineering stories. And we ended up being like consultants for this show called Silicon Valley. And it's really funny. We named our company Pipe Network, and they had Piper there in that show. You can even see some like screenshots of the elemental software in that show. It's pretty cool.
So full circle over there. Pied Piper to Pipe Network.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Like, it couldn't be any better, having built video transcoders and now working in blockchain.
Makes sense. Makes sense. What's your general take on the like overall deepen market at the moment? What's some exciting stuff you've seen over the last bit?
I think there's a lot of great stuff happening out there. Helium's right around 1 million users per day. There's some really fascinating GPU markets that seem to be quite functional, like IONET and others that looks like they're on a 20, $50 million run rate already, and that's real usage. I think trying to partner with a lot of them on the pipe side is super exciting. We just built some really unique algorithms in the zero knowledge space. We call it like ZK-TCP, ZK Quick. Allows you to verify the bandwidth was actually transmitted, no matter what the protocol is. And essentially, if you're in deep spin, like that's one of your major concerns is like, is that node serving up results? Is it doing the job? And it's very hard to verify. And as much as I try to stay away from trends and stuff, the zero knowledge made a lot of sense in this use case.
That makes sense. And as you guys are building primarily on Solana at the moment, what are some technical updates that you're looking forward to or that have happened over the last bit that has impacted Pipe Network?
Yeah, I think so. We got challenged to serve snapshots right now. An epoch is like 2 days of data. It's about 3 terabytes. So it's non-trivial already. And they're looking to 10x that this year with some more updates. So a snapshot alone is about 100 gigabytes today. So they'll push that to a terabyte very soon. And being able to offload that from the validators, previously they were just gossiping between each other. It's really affecting the performance of Solana. And we're looking forward to serving up those huge snapshots. And I think Solana's got, from my understanding, a lot of major performance improvements just on the sidelines they're testing out right now.
It's very, very exciting then. That'll be very, very useful for all the Deepin projects along with Pipe.
Yeah. I don't want to leak anything, but I'm pretty sure they're going to announce some super cool stuff next week.
Okay, I think that was just alpha, folks. But I guess for any new folks, new founders that are looking to build something the deep in space, do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, I think for us, like before we even started coding, we looked for a space that we could innovate in. And then we went and we talked to all of our engineering friends to make sure we weren't crazy, justifying like mathematics of like bandwidth delay product, TCP throughput equations, and looking for something where you can have like a mass scale distributed system and use that to benefit the performance mathematics. There's a lot of underlying Web 2 systems out there just waiting for someone to hyper innovate them and push them like 5, 10, 20x faster.
Which sector, if I was able to pinpoint, or if you're able to pinpoint, do you think has the biggest opportunity for disruption with blockchain?
I think it's almost the opposite. Which ones cannot be disrupted with blockchain at this point?
So global market then.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing really phenomenal stuff happen. I definitely see like global markets, the trading piece is all working out. We're running a system with like amazing latency that I wouldn't have thought was possible until we built it. I think most people wouldn't have. So that basically proves that a lot of these things are very feasible with coordination and light decentralization in the beginning, and then pushing for its full decentralization as time goes on. Hopefully that gets a definition as well, so we can match it.
Hopefully, let's see. I think regulations are slowly easing up, so that could be a reality.
Yeah, I mean, we're super excited about that. Our use case, originally we built it for serving video, but we see a lot of AI pieces, and now see a lot of conversations popping up here and there with governments, making sure they can have much more reliable communication through a hyper decentralized system.
Makes sense. Well, I know we were speaking about NVIDIA in our private conversations earlier. Do you have any fun stories about NVIDIA from your Silicon Valley days? And also, what's your general thoughts on them?
NVIDIA is an amazing company. Yeah, I love them. Basically, been using them for a long time. One of the things we did Elemental is we wanted to offload part of the video computation to NVIDIA GPUs. This is way back in the day. So essentially, we needed integer multiplications, not floating point. So we're like pushing them, give us these drivers. We basically hacked it together and proved that the GPUs could do just plain vanilla integers. That's what we needed for video, and it's amazing. So we unlocked it. There was this bit of like a executive displacement after that. So it's a huge impact, and I think all of Web3 benefited from it. You can now do all this mining and stuff. Originally with Bitcoin, Ethereum, those types of solutions from the unlock we presented to NVIDIA.
Yeah, absolutely. Like huge ripple effects for NVIDIA, especially in the earlier days of narratives and like their probably ability to get like funding, on the secondary markets.
Oh, it's incredible. We had such a great relationship. When we joined AWS and they saw the price we were paying for NVIDIA, their jaw dropped to the floor. NVIDIA gave us such a good deal.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I guess as we wrap this up, what's next for Pipe Network? I know you guys are in testnet right now. What does the next couple of months, next year kind of look like for you guys?
Yeah, I think going through a lot of learnings right now with the Web3 testnet side. Hopefully by the end of the year we can announce, several major video streaming companies using us. There's a lot of companies out there testing right now, but this is definitely like trailblazer technology to them. So they'll test it, but shifting production workloads is going to take a bit of time for they can process this. Isn't going to like just stop for hours at a time, things like that. So I think it's going to be a really amazing summer, and I think this fall we'll see a lot of major companies switching over to Pipe Network.
That sounds like alpha right there.
Yeah, lawyers pull me off stage if I say too much more. So
Appreciate it. Thanks again, David. This has been great, and appreciate y'all.
yeah, thank you so much.